I would like to share some experience and lessons learned I did during my career in coming from completely different country as Ukraine, where it's a male-dominated society, and studying also in Austria, which is also quite male-dominated and hierarchical, and moving to Norway, and what are lessons learned and what motivated me to stay in artificial intelligence or STEM in general. But let us start with general observations that, of course, we are all here because we believe in the power of machine learning and AI, and then it has a potential to improve the lives. But of course, this potential can only be realized if AI represents the entire population. And as it has been mentioned right now, there is already quite a lot of bias examples in AI because not the whole population is presented. And it becomes a real concern, and it's generating more attention. And according to the Gartner research, already this year in 2022, 85% of AI projects will deliver erroneous outcomes owing to bias in data, algorithms, or other teams responsible for managing them. And of course, one of the most effective ways to address bias is to change diverse teams throughout the process. Diversity means including a variety of perspectives from different ethnicities, genders, ages, skills, and experiences in the teams developing AI. As has been said already, women are very much underrepresented in artificial intelligence and in the tech industry more broadly. So if we look at this graph from the World Economic Forum in 2020, it reports a gender parity that women account for only 26% of data and AI positions in the workforce. And as has been mentioned, it looks pretty bad compared to other disciplines in science. But of course, we all hear that we chose already the STEM and machine learning and mathematics as their science. But what's even another problem is that another report says that women in STEM are much more likely to abandon their jobs than if they hold in other careers. So some statistics say that 50% of women from STEM left their careers after 12 years, whereas that number dropped to 10% for women in other fields. And on average, females tend to distance themselves from STEM after just 5 years of career experience. And as mentioned, the goal of my presentation today is to show you, as young or maybe more experienced females in research or industry, is how to keep motivated in the field which is male-dominated, and how to find inspirations in the work you do, so that not just being in the field, but remaining in the field, and also, of course, promoting and serving as that very few role models for younger generations of girls. And so I want to share essentially my journey. And my journey started in Ukraine in around 2000, when I joined the specialized school in ICT, and then continued with undergraduate studies in Ukraine, and then moving to Austria for my PhD, together with a lot of teaching, and then moving to Norway to get a position of as a researcher at Simula, and then changing the job to consulting and leadership for 2 years ago. So let us start. So how did everything started? In Ukraine, when I joined the special school for the last 3-4 years of my studies, it was already very male dominated. So it was 8 girls and 23 boys in a class. And the first thing we heard when we joined the class that you study math because you want to get married fast. That was the main kind of topic why the girls were in my school. No one considered us smart. No one considered us that we are good mathematicians or computer scientists. It was the main reason we joined the school. However, I was quite stubborn, and of course I wanted to show that the life is not like that. So the main motivation for me during the school years were solving logical problems, competing with male brains, showing that we actually girls can outperform the guys, and also being a rebel against teachers who try to impose you female disciplines, like trying to be perfect or very good in the language classes or music classes instead of being good in major math or ICT. But those 4 years goes away, and then I joined the university, National University, in specializing in math and computer science. And the situation got slightly better. So we had 10 girls with 20 boys. So it's a slightly better proportion, but still male dominated. And the kind of main message we heard from many teachers was that males are much better in programming. So that was pretty much hearing that females in math or computer science has been a peak. So nothing was pretty much paid attention to us or given a lot of effort to help us to understand some subjects which we were slightly worse than our male colleagues. And again, there was still quite a lot of disencouragement in staying in the field, but the main motivation remained to be solving logical problems, solving complex problem. And at some point it was pretty hard to continue to be discouraged. So was the idea to leave the field and change to economy or business subjects because those are more girlish fields. But then getting a good opportunity to join an exciting ICT healthcare project to do my PhD in Austria, which kind of motivated to continue me being in the field. And that was one of the most kind of essential points, is to get this motivation and push when you've been discouraged for so long. After that, after moving to Austria, I was joining a European project working on this ICT healthcare project, and was already quite pretty much 50-50 females and males, because it was multidisciplinary team. And it was extremely surprising because you were encouraged to show your work, skills, and talents to others. So it was a lot of learning during the project, solving a lot of math, which was a lot of fun. And I think a lot of fun for me during the PhD studies, and which I believe also a lot of fun for many people staying in the field, is working on real life problem. And in particular here, I worked on the diabetes therapy management problem, which is a huge problem worldwide, because diabetes affecting more than 400 million people, and diabetes is not a curable disease, but it can be managed. And how to manage, it's quite a challenging optimization task. And that's what we tried to solve in the problem by working in interdisciplinary team with engineers, doctors, and industry players. So working on this real life problem and also solving real life problem, but using quite abstract and quite deep mathematical tools, was probably one of the best experiences I had in my research career, because it allowed me to see how math can solve real problems, and also developing myself as a mathematician. And as a result of the work, we patented this application. It's also, you can see on the screen, it's a predictor of the blood glucose levels in diabetes patients. and has been tested on more than 300 patients in different clinical trials. So the PhD work was extremely motivating and encouraging to stay in research and continue promoting to be a researcher in machine learning, mathematics, and to stay in the field. At the same time, I was a bit unsure whether I want to do research 100% or I want to switch more to scientific management. And then I found a position at Simula Research Lab in Oslo, which was a combination of both fields. So essentially doing research 50% and doing scientific management for 50%. When I joined Simula just after my PhD, I essentially joined the team where everyone was working on mathematical modeling and simulations, and I was the only one with a data-driven or machine learning background. And being a young and quite inexperienced, I really needed the team for collaboration. I needed some people to discuss ideas and essentially get inspired. So Simula gave a lot of freedom, but it was not so many collaborators to work with because people worked on different topics, and that was quite challenging to be a lonely wolf in a big organization. So the point was to travel around, find people with whom one can collaborate, establish connection, discuss projects, not being afraid to get in touch with different scientific groups and say and share your ideas and saying that you want to collaborate. And of course, it's also Norway that there is a lot of trust given to you, but there is a lack of feedback, which was quite difficult and different from coming from different culture. So understanding how to develop was not very common. And there was also a lot of possible activities which you can engage into, but then you can completely get derailed or blurred on your core tasks. So that was my work as a researcher. And in addition, coming kind of from this real world applications in my PhD, I also wanted to save the world. I didn't want just to work on the abstract problems, but I really wanted to apply to them. And that's why it led me to my last point where I am right now, is to being a part of the newly established consulting company as a part of the Simula, a leading consulting company, where essentially we are applying our knowledge to help companies in solving their real problems by using machine learning. And I have quite a lot of problems which are essentially not even solved in research, like fleet and route optimization. So essentially the travel salesman problem, a lot of video and image analysis, digital assistance for buying property, NLP, and supervised learning. So these are a project we are working, and the main difference is that they have been applied and deployed in real life. And just my last slide, based on the experience I gathered in the past 12 years, I just want to say that sometimes there is moments where disencouragement and demotivation, and it's difficult to stay in the field and on track. And finding a mentor is a good, or a role model and mentor is a good motivation which could help. It doesn't need to be a female mentor. And here I will be a bit unorthodox, saying that actually males could help much more than females, because there is much less females, and then there is a bit more competition between females. So from my side, working with males have been easier, especially in the mentoring part. And of course, it's important to find projects and tasks that inspire you and make you burn for it, so that it's one of the key ingredients for success. And it's important not to be afraid to take a risk and to fail sometimes, because there is always a possibility to get up and continue. And females are also known to under-promote their work and not engage in building the network. This is one of the most important aspects, is to build your network, get to know people, reach out and talk about your science or about your work. And the last point is sometimes it's easier also for others to give you billions of tasks to be engaged in, blurring your focus from the core activities you want to reach. So focusing on results which largest impact, which are giving you the biggest satisfaction and contribute to your career is very important. And of course, finding a workplace which allows you to thrive and develop is one of the key aspects. Thank you very much.